Along with other problems in our country, we need to face the reality of debt. As you might know, right now our nation is $12 trillion in debt. By the end of this year, we are going to be $14 trillion in debt. They tell us that if the projected plans of President Obama are carried out, that by the year 2020, we are going to be paying $70 billion a month in interest on the debt that our nation has. We simply cannot continue the way we're going. People talk about cutting the deficit. Well, that would be helpful. I want you to think about the deficit with me for a moment. President Obama just introduced a budget for 2011 that will spend $3.8 trillion. He knows, as anybody knows who's looked into it, that the best we can hope to take in by way of revenues through taxes and duties will be about $2.5 trillion. In other words, he has offered a budget that he knows is going to take us in 1 year another $1.3 trillion in debt. That's virtually what happened last year, and that's also what will happen in the years to come, unless something is done about it. It is not simply a matter of saying we have to cut the deficit. What we need to do is establish a sound and long-term plan to address the debt. How can we do it? Well, we have alluded to job generation in one of these video clips, and that's one thing that desperately needs to be done. We have to get people back to work again because many people are taking out of the system and are not contributing to it. Right now, the fact that we have so many people out of work is taking about $130 billion out of Social Security and Medicare alone. And so the debt only gets larger and larger. So we have to generate jobs if we're ever going to deal with the deficit and then also with the debt. But you know, we also have to deal with fraud, abuse, and waste. As a matter of fact, it is estimated that no less than 10% of the money expended by government is in fact wasted or taken by way of fraud and abuse. And then we simply have to face the reality that we have to cut spending. Nobody wants to do that. But you know, you and I could not get away with living the way the government lives. When you and I realize that we're spending too much, we have to face the reality and we have to cut our spending. And government is going to have to do that. And we marvel that instead of doing it, they continue to spend more and more and more by the billions. Here's a promise I can make to you. If I go to Washington, I will seek to be a part of a long-term plan to not just reduce deficit in a given year, but to in fact address the debt problem that is going to haunt us and haunt our children and our grandchildren, perhaps for generations to come. Thanks so much for listening.